Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I'm Santiago Ramones. I have an album out called Hypothetical. Every month, I'll be doing a podcast breaking down the elements and discussing the creation of each track until I've run out of tracks. The Vicious Cycle is the 12th track on Hypothetical. It was written, performed, and produced by me. It was mixed by Mac Lane and mastered by Kevin Lively. The Vicious Cycle is the story of an addict's journey through finally understanding how his addiction affects those that he loves. I wrote this song in 2017 for my songwriting and demo building class at ACM at UCO. I ended up recording it directly into Ableton, and so there's not actually a demo version other than this completed version from the end of the class. Take note of the very MIDI drums in it.
Tell me if this hurts you. Vices are my virtue. Vicious little war drums play. I can feel it in my veins now.
This song was also performed at an Electric Pizza concert during my master's. I actually had a bunch of people playing on this song with me. We had Keegan Darrow on drums, Michael Blanton on bass, Jonathan Edwards on cello. He was actually playing the lead guitar part on the cello. Breck McGough on piano, and Stephanie Peñate on synth. Because I was embodying characters, as is evident from the rest of this entire album, I tried my hand at telling this story, which is particularly weird for someone like me. For those of you that don't already know this about me, I'm what I call accidentally straight edge. That means that I'm sober. I don't smoke, drink, or take any substances that significantly alter my behavior or experience. I grew up Catholic, and I was pretty devout, so I was always a good kid. Even if I was hanging around spaces where people were drinking or doing other things, I've never been afraid to politely decline when it's offered to me. Even when I eventually fell out of religion, I kept that momentum going. I never started drinking once I turned 21, and I've never been drunk. I don't prefer the taste of alcohol. At some point as a teenager, I even stopped seeking out energy drinks. I've never enjoyed the taste of coffee, and I continue to avoid caffeine when I can. Although the occasional tea has some caffeine, so I guess that's fine. I even avoid taking over-the-counter painkillers as much as I can. I'm just raw dogging life. At this point, it's mostly momentum and commitment. That's why it's accidentally straight edge. I never sought to make it a big part of my personality. I'm just keeping it going. I'm also a little self-conscious about it. I don't want people to feel judged when they're drinking or smoking around me. I'm not better than anyone because I don't. It's simply something that I don't do. I will admit, though, I grew up with enough friends with an alcoholic parent or seeing real stories of how addicts will destroy everything they love in pursuit of just one more high. It's the go-to Act 2 downturn of every cliche rock star biopic. It's all around us. So yeah, I'm also a bit scared. I've been groomed to fear most substances. So I've removed myself from the experience. But it's from this removed perspective that I wrote this story. It's an exercise in empathy. There's a weird shame I have surrounding this, since there's already a lot of art about addiction from people that have experienced it themselves. But to reiterate from the last episode, I have a right to make art and tell stories about characters unlike me. In doing so, I get closer to understanding people unlike me. If everyone only made art about things they understood, they wouldn't expand beyond themselves enough. So I embodied a character unlike myself. An addict with a family finally coming to terms with how his addiction affects those around him at a critical moment. The first sound you hear in this track is this breath. It's a decision I made just before sending the album to be mastered. I grabbed it from the vocal, and because the song starts in such a straightforward way, I wanted there to be something to transition into the song's headspace. A breath can mean so many different things. An awakening, a birth, a final breath, a bracing for impact, a startled jolt. Our narrator is about to tell the story and needs breath to tell it. This song was mixed with an interesting approach. It was the second track Mac and I started working on the mix for, and Mac tried this triple bus idea. Without getting too technical, he used 3 different mix buses for the main components of the track: drums, instruments, and vocals. Each bus reacts to the other, giving space or taking space depending on what's happening. Buses are basically a route that a bundle of tracks go through. Another interesting approach is how the drums were played. I played the drums on this song. Actually, I played everything on this song. Max suggested that I record the drum shells and the cymbals separately. It was weird to play it this way, but it allowed for more control over the desired frequencies. Here's just the drum shells. And here's just the cymbals. And now all of it together. One notable thing about the instrumentation is how the verses and choruses alternate between a very slow tempo and double time. More on that later. This bass part is really straightforward, although a bit fuzzier than I remembered. As with most of my songs, The Vicious Cycle was written on guitar. I usually write lyrics first and music second, so it's always a fun puzzle for me to pick chords that reflect the words they sit under. Also, much like Late, this is another very sad song in a major key. I wanted the big feeling in the choruses to have a giant distorted guitar. Somewhat triumphant, somewhat painful. This melody on lead guitar was one of the last things to be added, songwriting-wise. I honestly wrote this melody to sit on top of the chords nicely, but it's such a melancholy and tragic melody. It dips, rises, and falls, much like our narrator. I'm left-handed and play guitar right-handed. I learned this way because I didn't want to have to struggle to find left-handed guitars. Because of this, though, I have an excuse for my right-hand technique to not be great. That is to say, instead of tremolo picking, I cheated and used a delay. This tremolo lead guitar is like a panicked wailing that soars above the song. It represents a very heightened emotional state: anxiety, mania, and terror. Getting into the MIDI things, this piano adds more of that ballad flavor. It's just so tragic. I bet this song would work with just pianos and the song would still tell the story really well. There's also this really cool transition thing from the end of the bridge that I'm really glad I get to share right here. Gotta have synth pads. I love pads. I think I literally copied the MIDI from the piano part. But this pad is just so vast and beautiful. And of course, our hypothetical password, monomate. The final chorus of the song is so packed that it's probably hard to hear the monomates. I love how they get passed back and forth between the left and right channels.
Voices are my virtue, precious little war drums play. I can't feel it in my veins.
Pretty simple vocal harmony here. Okay, fine. I'll talk about the accent. I didn't understand it when I wrote this song, but it came out of me in a British accent. Years went by with me performing this song and I didn't know why this character was British. And then it hit me. I wrote a David Bowie song. I had been playing this song with Campbell Young in my band, and he didn't even tell me that this was a David Bowie song. Bowie is one of Campbell's biggest inspirations. And yet he said it felt like an All-American Rejects song. You tell me, is this a Bowie song? Is this an All-American Rejects song?
As I come back down, I drive farther from my home.
I'm really proud of the storytelling in this song. In the first verse, the narrator is caught by his partner, and he's basically waiting for the lecture to end so that he can find his next high. The choruses are the euphoric and manic highs. That's why they're in double time. By the end of the second verse, he actually wants to quit, but he can't stop himself this time. He's finally starting to see the impact it's having on those around him and on himself, leading him to the repeated phrase, "Tell me if this hurts you."
Tell me if this hurts you. 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 Tell me if this hurts.
How many times does our narrator have to witness the harm from his addiction for it to finally sink in? Repetition legitimizes. Repetition legitimizes. When we hear a phrase over and over and over and over again, this phenomenon of satiation happens. A word starts to sound funny. We start to think of it differently. We start hearing the sounds as much as we're hearing the words themselves. We start to process the meaning of the phrase differently, or to lose meaning altogether, almost as though we're overdosing on it.
I can't. Tell me if this hurts you. Voices are my virtue. Vicious little war drums play. I can feel it in my veins now. Pleasure as it rains down. Normal is my brand new high. And I can't can't tell.
While I'm no expert on drug abuse, I've heard and read up on the science for a large part of my life, and also for the sake of this podcast. To paraphrase some of the information, drug addiction is a behavior of seeking out drugs that becomes compulsive, difficult to control, even though there can be harmful consequences from that behavior. Our brains might get a reward from certain drugs, and that high is something that some people want to experience again and again. Our brains produce dopamine from this high, this feel-good chemical. However, through repeated and prolonged use, the brain starts to produce less and less dopamine. After a while, more drug use is needed to simply feel normal rather than to feel great. Once again, I've heard the stories of people destroying their lives in pursuit of their drug addictions. For some people, religious or 12-step programs have been a literal lifesaver. For other people that I've known, they were able to find community and support outside of that. People can get themselves out of addiction. One person I've talked to told me about how they read a book about the science of addiction, and it gave them the perspective that they needed to become sober. Unfortunately, there are a lot of factors in people's lives that keep them from finding the help that they need to beat their addiction. Sometimes all it takes is one bad day and one bad decision to cause a relapse. Maybe a loved one steps in to provide empathy and support. But the loved ones of addicts are the next people to receive the most harm from addiction, and they might need to protect themselves from the addict. Maybe an addict has to check themselves into some sort of a rehab clinic, but that can be prohibitively expensive for people that are notable for making questionable financial decisions. It's all extremely complicated, and I'm definitely not the one with the best answers, but I hope that this dive into one perspective has given you more empathy towards those going through some of life's biggest challenges. If you or a loved one needs help with substance abuse and addiction, call 1-844-289-0879. Here's The Vicious Cycle in its entirety.
Again, lies shattered on the floor, fears far away now moving in, and I can't take anymore. These promises are empty as I make them. I'm planning futures as I speak. Tell me if this hurts you. Voices are my virtue. Vicious little war drums play. I can feel it in my veins.
Thank you for listening to Bit Depth. You can listen to Hypothetical wherever you stream music. Or, preferably, you can buy Hypothetical on Subvert, a new cooperatively owned music platform. To find me there, go to subvert.fm/Santiago. That's right, subvert.fm/Santiago. I also have made-to-order merch on my website. Direct financial support will always be better than what streaming can provide. You can also use your voice to tell others that you like what I'm doing. That doesn't cost money. My website is the place where you can find all things Bit Depth and all things Hypothetical. So please go to santiagoramones.com to get the full experience. Link is in the description. Love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong.